Welcome to Daredevil Born Again official podcast. I'm Deborah Ann Woll, and I play the role of Karen Page. Now, she might not be an official superhero, but she sure is proving in this episode that she is a total badass. Every week, we are digging into each episode of Season 2, sharing behind-the-scenes stories and chatting with the cast and crew of Marvel Television's Daredevil Born Again, now streaming on Disney+. On today's show, we're chatting about all of the drama that happened in Episode 2. I'll be chatting with Michael Gandolfini, one of my favorite people, such a sweet human being. He plays Daniel Blake, a character best known as television's all-time greatest deputy mayor of communications to an absolutely terrifying Marvel supervillain. And then later, we'll speak with production designer Michael Shaw about how he approached designing the world of the show. But first, here's a recap of all the excitement in Episode 2. So if you haven't watched, stop and come back after you've seen it. Everybody's favorite political up-and-comer, Daniel Blake, deals with the guerrilla attacks on his boss, Mayor Fisk. Unfortunately for Daniel Blake, he also realizes that the leaks may be coming from his own laptop. The task force slowly retrieves the arms out of the sunken boat wreckage, and Daredevil struggles to think of a way to penetrate Fisk's tightly secured Red Hook facility. Cherry has survived the attack on his life, but the task force still wants him dead. Meanwhile, Soledad, Hector's widow, is swept up by a harrowing task force raid, and Angela, her niece, receives the White Tiger amulet. As Fisk's goons continue to terrorize the city, another guerrilla video showcases the task force's brutality. And after this video, Gorilla Fisk takes off his mask, revealing none other than BB herself. In the end, the task force raids Daredevil's safe house, but Daredevil and Karen are able to escape, and when they meet up at Frank Castle's old place, Karen reveals something major. She captured one of the cops and has him blindfolded and tied to a chair.
So here we are.
Okay, cool. Here we are.
Daredevil
We're talking
Born Again,
Season 2.
Season 2. And Episode 2, apparently.
Episode 2, apparently.
222.
Which was like, behind the scenes, that was like a year ago we filmed that.
I know, it's so crazy. Yeah, true.
I remember even when we were filming it, I was so excited about what we were filming, and I kept being like, I can't believe people aren't gonna see this for like a whole year.
A whole year. That's the worst
be a different
part.
Person.
I feel like I go through so many, like we film it, I'm so excited, it ends, I'm like, I want it to come out, I forget about it, and then like it'll pop into my head, and I'll be like, oh my God, like no one's
You go
even
do like 4 other jobs, and then, oh my, that's right, I have to go back and like put myself in that headspace.
Yeah, it's so crazy. And we were saying before, like you have been doing this character for so long.
Yeah, I mean, I think we started in 2014, so it'll be 12 years that I've been playing this character.
Do you like her?
I mean, intermittently.
I mean,
no, yes, I love Karen.
Yeah.
And I do very much feel like her caretaker in some way.
Right.
That particularly over, I've had different showrunners for almost every season that Karen has existed. I've had different groups of writers, different directors, and so, that happens for all of us, right? You become the one constant, the one through line for your character. Mm-hmm. And it was interesting coming back to this and like going back to my notes from the first 3 seasons.
Oh, wow.
And just reminding myself, like, actor talk, like what are her given circumstances? Like what are the things, like one of the things I found is that at one point they had written that like, my line was like, I used to have a mean 3-point shot. And I was like, that's a fascinating thing that I forgot, that like Karen's really good at basketball, like let's keep that, like
awesome.
Remind ourselves of this little tidbit from the earlier seasons. So yeah, I do like her, I admire her. I think she's braver than me in a lot of circumstances. Mm-hmm. Also a little more unhinged, but that's what makes her interesting.
Well, I think you're so amazing in this season. Aww. And it's because this show talks about good and evil so much and like the balance between that. And Karen, I think, really embodies a feeling that I think a lot of younger generation feels, which is just like having good morals enough? Like, do we have to do more?
Well, Karen to me has always been a person in the gray area, and she needed to be that because Matt has that Catholic upbringing, which is very black and white, good, right and wrong, even though I think he blurs those lines all the time. His mindset is more in that vein.
Right.
And she's the one who has to say, well, is Punisher all evil? Are vigilantes all evil?
Right.
You know, are some of the villains maybe trying to do right?
Right.
And she always wants to live in that gray area and search for nuance and search for truth. And I think to that point, while you might be part of Team Baddie, I would love to ask you a little bit. One, do you like Daniel Blake, as you asked me? I think is a great question. And
Yeah.
also, you know, to that end, you know, you're on the sort of villain team,
Right.
but what does that mean for who you are as a person and
Right.
you know, or Daniel as a person?
Yeah, I mean, I do. I kind of love him. Like, I just feel really
I love
like,
Daniel.
yeah, quite sympathetic and really, yeah, I do love him. And I agree. I mean, like, it was so interesting because he's so, you know, he's so hardworking and he's really opportunistic. And I think that the thing that I love about Daniel is that while intelligent, he's also like really dumb. He's very impulsive. Like he's so, and that's the thing that I love about him is like, especially in the first season, he didn't know he was sort of, you know, swimming with sharks.
Yeah.
And I think he believes the best in people and he acts so much on impulse. It's just like, oh, this thing's in front of me. I have to go get that. And I don't want to think about the consequences or what it means. And so, you know, Dario really wrote this great thing for me where like, he just sort of turned up the heat as far as it can go. Like how hot can it go until he like has to pick a side or has to make a decision?
But that's a great question of like, if you were to get sucked in to a community, a group, a movement that suddenly down the line you're realizing, oh wait, this isn't what I thought it was, or this is now starting to ask me to step beyond my moral boundaries. Like, what do you do in that situation? How do you either step out or do you dive in deeper? You know, it's such a great conversation to be having through the character of Daniel.
Oh, it was so great. There's a line in this, like, I think that Daniel says in this episode that kind of encapsulates this whole thing, which is he says to BB, like, look around, like, things are good. And he says, you know, integrity costs.
Come on, BB, I mean, look at this. Life is good. I don't know, like, integrity can cost. Sometimes it's better not to know or to ask.
And it's, like, so true. Like, he just loves, he also just loves to have fun, you know? And so he doesn't really want to be on the other side of not having fun.
So one of the really huge, wonderful reveals in this episode is BB is this sort of fake Fisk that this Fisk in quotes that we see. I'm curious, in your opinion, because I think it's left kind of open, do you think Daniel knows that she's the leak or suspects?
It's a good question. It's one that came up a bunch while filming. Like, he doesn't care. Like, he doesn't want to know. That's the whole thing. Like, if someone would be like, is she the leak? He'd be like, I don't know. Like, if someone, you know what I mean? I think he does know. I think, but he doesn't want to know. You know, I think he is aware that, that the second he accepts the fact that she's a leak is there's going to be massive consequences. So it's sort of like he's just kind of cut off that thing in his mind. You know, and that's a way, like, that's such a typical thing of, you know, people who experience trauma or grieving or things. It's just sort of like that side is just shut off. And I think that's what he has, but I do think he does know pretty much from the beginning that she's the one doing it. And she's done it in the past too. And he's always taken the brunt of her leaking everything. He's always kind of protected her.
Well, speaking about BB, that's such an incredible relationship that was grown between Daniel and BB. And of course, you're working with Janaea, who we think is amazing and such a great actor. And so tell me a little bit what it was like to build that relationship this season.
I mean, she's so amazing. And like, there was always this sort of like really fun thing that felt really like, not only was it in the script, but it was also between me and her where like, it was like, oh, do we, like, I I know that Daniel loves her, but there was these moments that were just like, are they friends? Are they not? Like, what is
Yeah.
it? But like, it just felt so. She's such a talented actress.
You know, her being related to Ben Urich, and that, you know, that means so much to Karen. But I think also, you know, Karen carries the weight of the deaths at Fisk's hands differently than I think Matt does.
Right.
Every single person that dies because of Fisk, she goes, well, we had a chance to stop him, and
Right.
we didn't, or we failed, so those deaths are on her shoulders. And I think I carry that weight very strongly, and I don't want BB to be another person who dies and, you know, loses all this potential in life that she could have.
Completely.
And it be because I didn't take the step I needed to in the moment.
Completely. Those consequences are so heightened for Karen, and you play it so amazingly. Like, just you feel the history of every death loss. Like, they're not just a number, and they're not just you know, gone because of bad people. They're sort of gone exactly. There's almost a little bit, you know, there's a blaming of herself.
I feel a responsibility. I mean, Karen's always been, you know, I think because of what happened when she was younger and that loss and the fact that it was her fault, but she got away with it, there's this sense that she circumvented justice. And that she doesn't like the idea that that can happen, even though you know, I don't think I want to have to go to prison for my wrongs.
Right.
I mean, in many ways, Karen deserves to be behind bars for some of the things that she's done. But I think she wants to fix the justice system so that, you know, people with truly bad intentions can't get away with it. And in a way, atoning for her own mistakes means making sure the system works better and making sure that no one else can kind of do what she did in a way.
100%.
I just want to take down Fisk before there's any more collateral damage.
Okay, we proved the mayor smuggling guns.
Right.
Try to get the feds to file a case. And at least gets him out of City Hall.
We can hope.
I do think that BB has a very similar moral compass and intention, where like Daniel does not have that. Like Daniel is fully he's kind and he is sweet, but he is selfish in a way. I always thought of, like, when I first started to like really read these scripts and get to know Daniel, it was sort of like whoever's in front of him in that moment, he's completely loyal to.
Wow, interesting.
Like, it's whoever is there right there, and he can flip anytime. Like, if he's with BB, he's with BB. Like, I'm with you, I hear you, I understand, and I, you know, agree to a certain point. And then when he's with Buck or Fisk, it's like, I'm all yours, I agree with you.
It's interesting that, like, your ideal is to loyalty, it's not that your loyalty is to one person.
Yes.
The ideal is being a loyal person.
Exactly.
Wow,
which is
fascinating.
such a nice way of saying a people pleaser. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, which he is, like, fundamentally just like a people pleaser. But yeah, he is loyal for sure. Yeah. For sure. And I think that's what is really being pulled here, is like, where does his loyalty lie?
Well, and that's an easy person to manipulate or impress upon, because as long as you're the most enigmatic or charismatic person in the room, you've got Daniel.
%. And so the other thing, like the major shift, I feel like for you this season is like Karen's kind of like a badass. Like, she's like fighting. Like, was that fun? Like, to really start?
She always had that mean 3-point shot. I mean,
That's exactly. Now that's in play.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Was that fun to like do the training? Was there any training
Really
involved?
fun. I mean, there was training. I definitely, went in and did a lot of the martial arts training and so forth to, I don't obviously need to be at the same level that like Charlie does or his, stunt performer does. For the work, but yeah, it was really interesting to learn it, and I went home and practiced it. When we used that wooden dummy to practice against, like, I made that out of a closed tree that I had, so I could practice at home and kind of keep going with it. So I really love that kind of work.
Yeah.
So I was excited to get to do that. And of course, it's intimidating to then step up and do it with Charlie, who's been doing it for so long.
Yeah,
and,
right.
But
Yeah,
I
but that's
think I
perfect
did
for the
okay.
scene, and you did
Yeah.
great. But that's also what the scene is. Like it's
Yeah.
so romantic, and there's such a softness because she is learning, and you
When
kind
some of
of.
us, I remember an ad-libbed line, or a line that I discussed with the writers that I wanted to say that we put in the earlier drafts, which was, Matt has this savior complex, and at a time when Karen was angry with him, I wanted the line of like, I'm not yours to save, right? You don't get to decide whether I'm in danger or not. That's my choice,
Right.
And you have to trust that I have the reasoning to do it. And I really liked that. And I think what this evolution is almost taking that idea. And she's saying, well, if I want to be in charge of my own destiny and my own safety, then I'll take on this skill set as well, which will, again, give me further independence in that way.
At the end of this episode, Karen like fully confronts the task force, and so like, what was it like to like have that new version of her come out and shoot that stuff, and like it's so fun.
Yeah, I mean, we had I don't know what ended up in the final take, but we had a couple of scenes where I did it, where I was actually quite pleased with myself. It was like,
it's
hey,
amazing.
Matt, come look what I got, in a way.
Totally.
And I don't know what ended up in the cut. We also did it a couple times where it was more of serious business. But I do think that there's a little bit of she's wanting to step into that more active role. I think Karen at her heart is an activist.
Right.
And these guys are doing, committing crimes in her mind, in her point of view.
Yeah.
And in that sense, just like you all on Team Fisk, sometimes the ends justify the means.
Totally.
And I think that they would stop short of a certain point. But in
Right.
this case, you're saying, hey, look, I got us something that's really going to help us advance our cause.
Right.
So that was exciting. Whereas, if you're talking about sort of softer sides of the softer side of of these characters, Daniel, you cooked. I believe.
Oh yes, I did.
You cooked a lovely meal.
I do cook a little lovely meal. I loved that moment. Yeah, it was.
What
so...
a great look into your character and something you do that you're
Yeah.
proud of. Do you remember any little even like in shooting a dinner scene, like there's always the things of like, how much do you actually eat? Like in terms of some inside baseball behind the
Right.
scenes stuff, do you have any
Right.
good stories?
Well, I find eating on screen so terrible, but I love it. Like I want
too.
to eat. Like I want
gives
it
you
to be.
stuff to do
Yeah, it
and,
gives you
like,
something to
yeah.
do. And so
like
many
it.
actors don't eat. So like
I
when
know.
people eat on screen, you're like, this is really fun.
Yeah.
And so I cooked that meal
You did?
at home. Yeah. I like practiced.
That wasn't props? You
No,
made it?
they
I
cooked
see,
it
I
on
see.
set, but I made it that weekend before. I was like alone
Yeah.
in my house. I made this whole big meal for myself and like just practiced it. And I was like, it's amazing. I was sending pictures to Dario and
Yeah.
so I got to make it because I do love to cook, like personally. And so it was so fun. Like when I saw it, I was just like, and there's just something so
Yeah.
sweet about it. Yeah.
Did Dario know that? Did Dario know you like to cook?
Well, I don't know. We talked about cooking quite a bit in season 1. So
Oh, fun.
when it came, I think he sort of pulled that, from me
'cause
actually liking to cook.
I love that happens. I find that the more seasons you do of a show, they know you better, you know them better as
Totally.
writers and showrunners, and you can lean into each other's styles and things. So
Right.
like a lot of times there'd be like, oh, this is this person's episode who's writing it. I know their style now, so I know
Right.
what they're trying to go for. I can lean into that a little bit. And similarly, they go, well, we know Deborah's interests or what stories she likes to tell, so I'll
Right.
lean into that when I write for her. And it just starts to create this really beautiful collaboration as seasons go
Completely.
on.
I really felt like Dario really would write these amazing character beats that show a completely different side of him. And I think that that's a big part of Daniel is like, I don't really know if he knows fully who he is yet. He's
Yeah.
still really building like oh, he likes to cook. Like, okay, like that's so sweet and unexpected, you know?
Yeah.
And he sort of has this like, he's sort of still kind of like a fawn learning to walk, you know? But he thinks he's like a bull, but that's what
Yeah.
makes him so funny is that
Yeah.
he's just kind of running and falling on his face, but he just gets up and keeps running.
Yeah. Well, I think what's interesting in terms of like writing and creating characters is I find when I play heroes, I always want to lean into their flaws, and when I play villains, I always want to lean into their virtues. So I think that's fun that like, as the technically sort of heroic side, Karen, we're leaning more into her flaws and this tendency towards
Right.
violence and hypocrisy, and with Daniel, technically on the bad guy
Yeah.
side, we're leaning more into like his romance and
Totally.
cooking and like who is he in that way. And I think that's so smart. It gives characters so much more dimension.
Yeah, because it's human, right? Like you
Yeah.
see, no matter the heroes, because heroes can easily be alienated from human too, because they're too
Yeah.
set on their moral code. So like having all of that in them makes them so much more relatable and so much
Yeah.
more, complex, you know? We are gonna play Truth or Daredevil.
Oh boy.
All right, here we go. Okay, would you like Truth or Daredevil?
Well, don't I get to know what the question is before I choose?
No, that's the
No?
game because it's like truth or like there's like the like or it's like.
All right, I'm
a
gonna
da-
start with the truth.
Okay, here's the truth.
Start with the truth.
Okay. If you had to be a Dungeons and Dragons dungeon master for the cast, who would you want at your table?
So hold on, because it's like this question was put in for me.
Yeah, it
because
says
I
your
am a
name.
Dungeons and Dragons
It's-
dungeon master.
Exactly. It's perfect. It's perfect.
So look at that. All right, if I had to D&D for people on the cast, well, I would choose Michael.
Yes.
I would choose Nikki,
Good one.
Margarita, and who would be my fourth? Probably Artie.
Oh, Artie's a good one.
Yeah, I think you four would be amazing.
Fun.
I feel like to play D&D, you want people who have that like, kind of like open imagination, almost like a childlike wonder for the world. And so
Right.
I just, people that I feel like, are a little nerdy maybe.
Oh, I love that. I am definitely that.
That would be my table.
Okay, so then I'll say I'm gonna do a Daredevil.
Okay.
And it says, what's the specific name of the martial arts that Charlie practiced when sparring with Deborah?
Oh boy.
I have no idea. Karate?
No.
Nope. Oh, wow. Wing Chun? Is that
Wing
what it's
Chun, yeah. Wing
What
Chun.
is that?
I mean, I think there's all different sort of forms of martial arts that come in. There's also some Muay Thai and stuff that we did in
Right.
there as well. But this particularly was with that wooden dummy,
Right.
where you kind of use, your arms and legs and all the things, like,
Yeah,
sparring with
limbs.
that. And then I'm gonna forget exactly the name of the kind of not choreographed, but sort of dance that you do
Right.
together. There's a specific name for that I'm
Right.
not remembering, but
I
but
think
yeah,
that's
fun.
you're more informed than most, so that's a plus.
I'm probably not.
Okay, all right. Now again, Truth or Daredevil for you?
Oh boy, I'm scared of the Daredevils. I don't do well with trivia, so I'm gonna go with truth again.
Okay, another Truth.
Another truth.
Okay. If you could play any character within the MCU, who would it be and why? I mean,
As like opposed to our own characters?
I guess let's say that.
I guess so. Okay. I mean, maybe Jessica Jones.
Fun.
I mean, obviously, Kristen is amazing in that role, and this has zero comment on how she's doing. I just think it's a great, great character. And I
Yeah.
will say the Brian Michael Bendis Alias run is like one of the few comic books that I've actually read,
fun.
like not for research and just for
Right.
fun. So I always really love that character, and so that would be an interesting acting challenge.
That's a great one. Okay, I'll do Truth. What was your favorite location to shoot and why? My office is really fun because I'm a big Jets fan, so I told them to like put like Jets stuff in there and like a bunch of
Yeah.
Rangers things. I'm a big Rangers fan, so like
Yeah.
they dressed it like really in a way that was like really fun, and like I just felt like they were little callbacks to like things I love, and so I
love
really
that.
really like that. Yeah.
That's cool.
Okay, well, we did our game.
did our game.
We
Did we
killed
pass?
this
A+?
podcast, A+. And this is so great, amazing.
It really is lovely to see you.
It's so good to see
we
you.
we didn't get to actually like work together
I
really,
know.
but I don't know. Every time you would come by on set, it was just such a joy to see you. I feel like you're such a great energy. You're so talented, and I think having your your integrity and commitment to this character come to this show. I mean, it just added so much, and we talk a lot about like the OG DD crew and all of that, but I've been so grateful to the new characters and the new actors that have come in. I just think all of you are so incredible. So thank you
Oh my
for
God, well, thank you
adding
for
to this
saying
story,
that.
this world.
That
Yeah.
means so much to me, and like it's the best. Like again, I watched the show when I was young, and like I just think you guys are so incredible. I've learned so much from you and Charlie and Vincent and Ayelet, and just it really is so incredible.
Yay.
Amazing. And next we've got a special bonus segment teed up for you with production designer Michael Shaw. All right, shall we do it? Welcome to the domain of the podcast.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is very cool.
What do you think? Give us your notes on the design of it all.
Well, it's very red. Why is it red?
Yeah, why is it red?
Yeah.
So for the people that don't know, do you want to just like describe what like a production designer does? Like, what's your job? What do you do?
Well, I mean, first of all, most people don't know what a production designer does.
Yeah.
You say you're a production designer, and they go, "Oh, really? That's cool. That's great." But basically, what I do is kind of what I did when I was 10, which is I spent all my time making forts in the woods, making dioramas.
Fun.
Building worlds, building environments.
Yeah.
And now I'm just building environments, building worlds for you,
Yeah.
for actors, without words.
Right.
That's my job basically, is to make a silent film.
Right.
So whenever I read a script, I think of it in visual terms and how I can propel the narrative through color, through texture, through
Right.
volume of space. So I work with the DP and the
Yeah, I was
director.
gonna say, do you work with the DP? Like,
Yeah, it's
closely?
basically the DP, the director, costume, wardrobe, and to create a look for the show, whatever that is, and how we're going to tell the story through visuals.
Right. Well, you're amazing at it, one. And
Thank you.
Very, very good.
It's like the most fun job I could ever imagine.
Yeah.
When I did my first short film, and I did it for free, it was like, oh wait, I could do this and get paid.
Yeah.
That's even better.
100%.
And I was a painter and a sculptor
Okay.
and a carpenter.
Oh, wow.
For a long time, and then found production design, and I never looked back.
I've always been curious, like, do you, like the difference between building a set, right, on a soundstage and like picking a location? Because there's a lot on like location, especially this season was like a lot. And so when you go, are you trying to think like, okay, we need to match? Do you like, which one goes first? Is it like we need to match the aesthetic that we've built, or do we need to build around the aesthetic that we're seeing around New York?
I'll give an example that's on our show, is Your World. We built your office,
Right.
and then we had your apartment, which was a location.
Right.
And because I designed your office, I knew exactly what your apartment should be, because it needed to be very different from that,
Totally.
And your office in Gracie Mansion or in City Hall was the most fun.
Really?
Yeah, everyone loves that.
I love that.
Yeah,
set.
and
It's
we would
the pillar right in the middle.
Yeah, so that was a major thing that I really wanted it to feel like they gave you not the worst office,
Yeah,
but
close.
Fisk doesn't want you to get too big for your britches,
Right.
He's like, look, you know your place.
Right.
So it's a basement office,
Yeah.
and the pillar, as soon as I showed a rendering for that, everyone cracked up. And I said, and we made the pillar so you could move it to camera because we always wanted it to be in shot, like somewhere, and awkward and really that pillar conveyed,
Exactly.
your situation.
It's a perfect emotional beat, in a set, because it also sits right where someone would be sitting across from me.
Correct.
So
you can't have visitors.
You can't have anyone there. Everyone's running into it.
It's like the office nobody really wanted.
Exactly.
And that's yours. And then the window was important because I wanted a window that looked. Originally, I wanted to have it look onto an alley, and I wanted to put a car in there.
Uh-huh.
So it was like one of those alleys in New York where somebody parks.
Right.
And potentially there was a guard. Like I wanted to, in the ideal world, there would have been a guy who's putting trash out the window. Or like some action out there that was just And
you guys did build in a little alley that
we did.
Yeah,
we had a little alley. The car was out of the budget.
But,
But the counterpoint to that is the apartment that you get from Fisk, which is sort of your reward. You're like, here, this is, we're giving you this space that's way beyond what you're used to.
Completely.
And that was really important to have that counterpoint.
Right.
I mean, Michael, I would ask you and wonder, when you first walked into your office, you hadn't seen it.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts?
I mean, I just felt like you and your team did such a good job. There was these few moments that I was just so blown away. The office, for starters, was so perfect, and you had put all the memorabilia and the jet stuff and the all that, and the posters, and there was this great Godfather poster. It just was so helpful because you get in there and you don't really have to create anything. You don't have to think. You feel, and for me, it was so fun because it was so tiny and sort of shrunken, but Daniel's so larger than life. It was playing. The space helped me play that thing,
Yeah.
I remember when I walked into that apartment, in those views of New York, you're just oh my God, this is incredible. And that's what he feels, you know?
Yeah.
He's so excited.
So, Michael, you're a New Yorker.
Yes.
You know New York. And you know from our show that New York is a huge part of it's a character. The reason we shot it here is because you can only shoot New York in New York.
100%.
So what did you feel in terms of the way we portrayed New York? Was it?
No, I think it's incredible. And I think, one of the main draws was the fact that it not only shot in New York so I can sleep in my own bed, but
a huge bonus.
But also just that it's, one of the most beautiful cities to shoot at in the world. Hard to shoot here, but really, really crucial. Again, that even the ship, right? And Dumbo and those amazing sort of expansive shots and the worlds that you built. It's such a crucial part to it's the blood of the show, right? It's the most crucial, one of the most crucial pieces. Matt loves New York so much, and that's why he wants to protect it, Yeah. Matt Murdock isn't really a global superhero. I don't think he really cares. I mean, maybe I'll get killed for this, but, of course he cares about good versus evil, but it's very much no, as long as New York's good, I'm happy.
Yeah.
If Fisk goes to, Los Angeles and becomes mayor, I don't really care. If New York's good, I'm happy. And so that blood of the the loyalty in New York, and like, yeah, I just felt like, and I also felt that with, you know, in season 1, like Muse, like all the stuff that you guys did with like, you know, his like paintings and things like
That
the
was so much
graffiti
fun.
world. Yeah.
That character was the best.
Yeah,
I
he's
loved doing that. And the Muse
incredible.
lair
Yes.
was like one of my favorite
That
sets
layer
of the show.
was one of the most amazing sets I've ever been in. Like
Really?
Because I
that-
walked in
thank
and I
you.
was just
That's
like,
amazing.
oh my Lord, it's incredible.
That was just, you know, everything was so grounded, and you know, for a production designer, that having the opportunity to take something, you know, it was scripted as just like a subway tunnel.
Right.
And I kept thinking, like, I want to make people really unsettled in this space.
Right.
And I kept thinking of like German expressionism,
Right.
where things are just like slightly off, right? Things like tunnels aren't straight, they zigzag, and there's angles that just don't make sense architecturally.
Right. If you were gonna look at like episode 202, is there like a favorite set that you built?
Definitely for me, the attic above Josie's.
Right.
What that was my favorite of that episode, because it was this you know, outpost, and there's a journey that you go through. You go up the stairs of Josie's. You go through a hole in the wall of the building to get to this place, and you don't really have to explain how that happened or why it happened, but it wanted to feel romantic, and like it. I kept thinking of a garret in you know, in France, you know, like something that's, you know, when you pass through that broken fragment wall, you're in a romantic World War II hideout, and it doesn't architecturally make sense for New York, but you know, we're telling a story about.
Yeah, but I think that plays into it too. Like it plays into that hideout. Like you can't really understand how it works, but like that makes it feel so warm and romantic and you know, secret in a way. Yeah. Well, this is amazing. Thank you so much for
That was
talking
really
to me.
fun.
I feel like I learned a lot. So yeah.
I'm glad.
Amazing.
Watch and listen to Daredevil Born Again official podcast, available on Disney Plus and wherever you get your podcasts. And stream season 2 of Marvel Television's Daredevil Born Again on Disney Plus.